Now, just to ask her about the current governor, Simbarati. Based on your assessment, from the time he took power up to now, are you convinced that he'll deliver for the people of Kisii?
It's difficult. It's actually absolutely difficult to deliver as a CEC if you don't have the goodwill of the governor, because the County Act gives the governor a lot of powers.
That's great. Now, are there any regrets about the docket? Maybe you feel like I didn't do this the way it's expected? Yeah, like something like a failure, let's call it that way.
No. I told you, me, I have never failed. I learn, okay? That's one thing you need to know, and make sure you
No, I had it.
So I learned a lot. You know, I was very fresh from campus. I didn't know much of government operations, so I got a very good experience. At least now I know, you know, how to go about, you know, government procedures, you know, which laws to put in place, and which office to go to whenever you need something to happen. So I can say I'm very proud of the young man I've become.
Okay.
I'm very, very proud of the young man that I have become, and I'm very, very proud that my name is out there. I mean, in some way, the county government projected my name. But then sometimes I feel like if the circumstances were favoring, I could have done more. I could have done a lot more, because I don't think my full potential was utilized. This is one environment that I realized that sometimes excellence is highly punishable. Understand? And that sometimes you don't need to be too smart in what you're doing.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is this, I remember being fought when I was pushing for the International Youth Day to come to Kisii. The governor was out of the country. So of course I went to Nairobi, and I got the opportunity to speak, you know, together with the CS Margaret Kobia and those other big dignitaries, to speak right out of the office of the president, you know, in front of almost all media houses from Kenya. So in my mind, you see, I'm very ambitious. I was very aggressive. I wanted to push these things to come to the county on behalf of my boss, right? Little did I know that there were people who are not happy. You see, you know, don't pretend. You know our Kisii, how sometimes our Kisii people behave, you know. I came back home and I got some people saying, oh, even people called governor, you see, this young man, he is speaking from the office of the president, and I was like, I mean, is that a big deal? I mean, I'm doing this thing for the betterment. Who takes the credit at the end of the day? It's the governor. It's not me. So will I see an opportunity and let it slip just because the governor is not around? So I had those challenges, more particularly towards the last 2 years. Those challenges, there was a lot of profiling, where you're profiled from where you're coming from. There was too much of profiling, so it was kinda a toxic environment, which I felt was very, very unfair to me as a young leader, an ambitious young leader. Because even if I could commit a mistake, I mean, I was allowed because I was young, and I needed somebody to tell me this is right, this is wrong. But I don't think I'm that much of a bad boy who could not tell that whatever I'm doing is right or not right. So that is one thing. I will not call it a regret, but I'll call it for, I don't know which better term I'll use. I'll say, I feel like, my potential was not fully utilized. The circumstances of that particular moment were quite dehumanizing. Yes.
Now, in simple terms, what led to your resignation?
I resigned to run for Member of Parliament.
Oh, that's why you resigned, eh?
Yes.
Okay, you are not maybe pushed by anybody from the county government?
Actually, I resigned to run for Senate before I decided to run for Member of Parliament. Okay. Yes, so I was not pushed. I was prepared to exit.
Okay, at that time?
I was already prepared to exit. Actually, I had prepared myself almost a year earlier that I need to exit. I don't think this environment is friendly, and I also thought, I don't think that this environment realizes my dreams and ambitions that I had for the very many people of our county. And of course, I also had dreams. I had dreams, which in some other way I also think that the position had in some way affected my, will I call it affected? Yeah, in some way it had affected my plans, in leadership and my ambitions. You see, when I came in as a very aggressive person, and I wanted to build my stature, political stature. But then, you see, Mwananchi does not understand what you are going through. You understand? The expectations are this big, but in reality, what you can be able to influence is very minute. You understand? So Mwananchi doesn't know that before I do that stadium at Kenyenya or at Kenyoro or at wherever, I need to consult the governor. And if the governor does not like the idea, there's nothing you can do. You understand? But Mwananchi anajua you are the boss in that docket, so you ought to do that. So I had realized that was, they even sometimes you could go with the governor, you go somewhere and the people asking about a certain project, and he tells them, but your son is in that department. You understand? So anakuseti, he's in that department. He should be able to do these things, right? Now, when you are going, you want to get resources, blackout. You understand? Yeah. So I resigned. I had declared my ambitions to run for Senate. Along the way, at that particular moment, I was a very vocal Wiper leader from this region. I was actually coordinating Wiper issues on behalf of Kalonzo. But then, the way I realized that, politics needs some bit of transition and some tough decisions. Sometimes friendship alone cannot take you to your destination. So I met with the president. Then he was the deputy president. I shared with him. I listened to him, and I felt like, yes, I think this is the right man. This is the right man for not only this nation, even for my ambitions. So he convinced me to step down from Senate. What had worked for 2 years, I had sold my agenda. I actually didn't have any competitor, more particularly from my village, from my constituents, from my region. Everybody was like, no, Echate. Nobody should come out here. He's the only sole whatever senator. But when I sat with the president and realized that he had a few other, interests, I had to listen to him, because when I spoke to him, I saw a father figure. Actually, my decision was only based on how he spoke to me. Because he spoke to me nicely, and I told him, you know what, you're a young man, you're very ambitious, I will work with you, I'll support you. I know it's a tough decision, but please, let's work together. So I made my decision. I now stepped down from Senate to Member of Parliament 4 months to elections. It was difficult. Okay? It was difficult, but I pushed. I kept on moving because of what the boss told me. He told me, you know, in life, you need to make some decisions, whether people like them or don't like them, right? But you make decisions that will safeguard you for the future. Secondly, you need to be loyal. Be one person who, when you make a stand, that stand remains. Yeah, and so that's why I made my decision. Went back. Actually, even my brother himself had already settled on an MP candidate. He had already made up his mind. So he had to change because his brother is now back to. Yeah. So I really pushed throughout the process. And I was able to convince quite a good number of people, a good number of following. I was able to get very good votes for His Excellency the President. So I'll tell you again, a very good lesson.
Okay.
Yes, for me.
Well, that's great. Now, after that, I know we had very many candidates in Kisii, and there were 2 factions, to be precise. The Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio. You yourself were in Kenya Kwanza.
I was in Kenya Kwanza.
Now, but later on now we found that the governor in Kisii County came from the Azimio docket, faction.
Yes.
Now, what is your relationship with him right now after the elections?
With the governor?
Yes.
I mean, politics is about interest. Before elections, we had a few issues. I mean, a few normal political issues, nothing personal, because I had an interest that I was protecting. He actually had a candidate that he was supporting at my place, back in my constituency. I also had a gubernatorial candidate that I was supporting. I had a presidential candidate that I was supporting. I had a senatorial candidate that I was supporting from my faction, that is in UDA. So we met. I actually met with him before the elections, and we spoke to each other. We said, you know what, you are my brother, you are a young person who's running for office. You must not necessarily support me, but respect is paramount. So that is how we operated. There is even a time he came to my constituents and he spoke well about me. And he said, you know what, I wish all these young men all the best. Actually, I was with him today, and he told me I was his favorite. It's only that he couldn't come out to support me. He also told me I came in late. You understand? Everybody knew I was running for Senate. So coming back again to MP when already some people had approached him in that fact. So for me, before elections, I was basically supporting my candidates. I was very clear that I was supporting the President, William Ruto. I was supporting Ezekiel Machogu as the governor. I was supporting Joash Maangi as the senator, and Bitutu as the women rep. Those are my candidates. Those are the candidates that my presidential candidate told me to do what? To support. So, and that is what is called loyalty to your party, in whichever state. But I don't remember of a day that I abused the governor. I didn't abuse him completely. I congratulated him when he won the elections. We are good friends. I'm from his place. We took tea. I took tea. We speak to each other. We said, you know, politics is gone. And now we need to come together and put our minds together and see how we can assist each other in ensuring that our county is growing. I actually applauded him for deciding, you know, to work with the president of the day, because I know he never supported him. He never liked him. You understand? But he's now the president. You can't do anything about it. So I'm very glad that, actually I told him that I'm very glad that now you're working with the president of the day, because there's no way you can operate in a, you know, in a unitary state, in a solitary state. You have to be in a unified kind of formation in order to deliver for the people. Yes.
That's great. Now we hope that you use the chance now to push the development projects that you had in mind, maybe during your time that you did not maybe accomplish. I hope that
I'll really try my best. I try to see how I can, because you really need the goodwill of the governor. It's difficult. It's actually absolutely difficult to deliver as a CEC if you don't have the goodwill of the governor, because the County Act gives the governor a lot of powers. All right? And the CEC is just an appointee of the governor. Actually, a CEC is not answerable to the people. A CEC is answerable to the governor. Your work is to implement the manifesto of the governor. The governor is the only person who is answerable to the people. All right? So when you fail, the governor has failed. All right? When you succeed, the governor has succeeded. So there's no way you can walk out and say, you know what, no, you don't do, you help the governor achieve. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Now, just to ask her, are you going back now to politics after?
I think that is not the main agenda now, because this is just 3 months after the elections. We have like 4.5 more years to go. You know, right now I want to concentrate on myself. I had realized actually throughout the campaign that, you know, I'm one of these most selfless leaders who just, you know, associates, very social, associates with everybody, do what, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes people of my kind forget themselves, right? They forget themselves. And what happens is that right now I really want to also concentrate on myself. I want to grow my career as most probably or likely as a civil servant. I need to learn more. You know, I just turned 31. So even if I take a break from active politics for 10 years, I will still be very young to run for office. So right now I'm trying to look at new strategies, strategize myself and position myself for the future. And by the way, sometimes our people forget we have too many influential positions, not just a political position. There are too many positions that are not necessarily political. So I'm taking my good time to concentrate on other spheres of life for now. So I will not really comment about running for office in the near future. The only thing I'll say is that I'm here. Echate is not going anywhere. Yeah, I'm here to stay.
Now, just to ask her about the current governor, Simbarati. Based on your assessment from the time he took power up to now, are you convinced that you'll deliver for the people of Kisii?
You know, sometimes we people want to see things happening almost immediately. We want to push, you know, things don't happen that way, you know. Growth is a process. This is a new governor with new energy, with a new system, you know, with new staff. To assess a leader, you need at least, you know, 1 year, because he needs a year to establish his own systems, to establish his own mechanisms of operations. So for now, I can't tell you that I'll measure his performance. But the thing I'll say is that he has a lot to do. He has really much to do, because to whom much is given, much is expected. Yeah, he had around 270,000 votes, and his closest competitor was at 80,000. So you can imagine how many people out there believed in him and supported him overwhelmingly. So all these people, they have huge, that means they have huge expectations. So the only thing, I even told him today, I told him, you know, Governor, what you need to do now, make sure that you have the right team, because you can't deliver alone. As an individual, even if you are house smart, you can't. Actually, there's no way you can survive alone. So he needs to get a very, you know, smart team, a team that will understand his vision, a team that will tell him the truth, not a team that will see Echate criticizing him positively, and then they go telling him that Echate is insulting you. I actually told him today that, Your Excellency, you need to differentiate between positive criticism, which can actually make you wiser, all right, from insults. Avoid people who are coming to tell you, you know, mshene nania na kutusi, don't overdwell in that. So you focus on what you're supposed to deliver, and also not to avoid those people who never supported him. If I never supported you, it doesn't mean that I'm not smart, or I don't understand some operations, or I can't support you, or, you know, I can't become your friend. All right? Because at the end of the day, if Simba succeeds, all of us, including myself, all right, who never supported him, will enjoy the benefits of this county. So all of us belong to him now. We like it or not, we are his people. So I think I wish him well. He's young, he's energetic, he started well. I think I wish him well.
Thank you. On a scale of 1 to 10, where can you rate the former governor, Honorable Ngwai?
I don't think I have the parameters to rate my, you know, my former boss, okay? Because he was my boss. There are things he did well. I told you there's something called syncretic characteristics of a person, which means there's something you love doing. So there's a probability for him, for instance, he loved health. You know, we could sit in the cabinet when you raise something about health. He's so much interested in that. So there are some fields maybe scored 100%, and there are some fields maybe scored 10%, and the rest. So I think that would be quite an uphill task to rate him. The only thing I'll say, he did his part. That is now water under the bridge. Let's now think about the current affairs today, because even if we overdwell on him, he's gone. He's already gone. He will never be a governor in Kisii.
Again.
No, again. Completely. He will never be.
He will never be one.